And the first of those challenges, the biggest challenge, I assume, there was written, was all about the stability of married life. I'm going to speak about that. You might just wonder, Uncle, why should you tell us about married life? Now, marriage is few years away. We are all young. We just got into college. I think one of the things we will realize is that there are a lot of actions that you do today. As a youth member, you might be 15, you might be 16, you might be 80, you might be 20. You're just an youngster. But there are a lot of actions that you do today that has a direct and an indelible effect on your married life. And I'm going to speak about just two of them today. But why is, again, married life so important? Because I know even tomorrow, I think you have some of the best people coming and going to speak to you. Because I ask each of you sitting here, deep inside our spiritual need for us to do well and reach our God's, be beside Him, each of us deep inside also want to be the best in what we do. We all want to be extremely good IAS officers. We want to be the best doctor that is possible. We want to be the best nurse possible. We want to be the best teacher possible in the world. But what has marriage has got to do with it? You all have heard of Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was, to the game of golf, the greatest ever gift, or a talent the game of golf has ever seen. And Tiger Woods was going up, 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 and up. And somewhere in the pinnacle of his career, one day he was coming back home. His wife said, I want to have a chat with you. And she asked, I know you were in here last weekend, but who were you sleeping with last weekend? Same thing happened to Wayne Rooney. Not the World Cup, the one before last, the one before that. That was supposed to have been Rooney's World Cup. And the world said, here is a wonderful player from England that's going to transform the game of football. And he was really preparing hard for the World Cup. And one of those evenings when he came back after the practice session, his wife too said, I'd like to have a chat with you. Who are you sleeping with these days? From that discussion which Tiger Woods had, Rooney had, the career graph of theirs has been down and down and down and down. My job takes me to deal with some of the brightest students in India, in the world. My job takes me to deal with the CEOs of some of the largest companies in the world. So I meet some of the most successful people in the world. But one thing I can tell you, even if you're as talented as Tiger Woods is to the game of golf, even if you're as talented as Rooney was to the game of football, if your personal life is in shambles, you will not reach the heights of your profession. You will not reach the heights of profession if your married life is in shambles. There's another way I look at when I speak to youths like you. Because I look through what is between your ears. I study the human brain, and that's how I study the human behavior. And I look at the human brain of yours. It's called teenage brain. And this is one of the cover stories of Scientific American. And when I look at this brain, you will realize that I know many a time you said youth is bad, they don't have values, they don't have huge little problems around it. But to me, I look deep inside your brain. And then I see there is a part of the brain which is sort of forcing you to enjoy things, enjoy sex. You want to, have speed. You want to drive fast. You want to go around. And that's more of the limbic part of your system. And that part of the system sort of reaches its maturity by the age of 15. There's another part of the brain which says, hey, don't do that. That's not good for us. Wait. That's called the prefrontal cortex. That's the frontal part of the brain. The prefrontal cortex of the brain reaches its maturity by the age of 25. And the gap between the development of the reward system of the brain And the control system of the brain, which is about 10 years, and that's the youth age, is what you call the problematic years. And I want to tell the elders sitting across here, if our youth stray or they do wrong things, it's not because the value systems are poor, because it is a biological problem. Right now, my team is working on teenage pregnancy in Africa, or we work across road accidents, a whole lot of problems. And one of the things we do as a team is to see how we can bridge this particular gap. And so, many times, one of the things I want to tell you also to the youth is, and I know you many times when you speak to your parents, you say, Papa, I'm a grown-up boy. Come on. Don't. Or you might say, Mama, I'm a grown-up girl. I know what I'm doing. Now don't preach to me. Now let me tell you, if you're not up to the age of 24, 25, I have, as a biologist, as a neurologist, I have to tell you, hey, you're still a child. Your brain is still growing up. You still are not a big girl. You're still not a big boy. Now, because the prefrontal cortex is not developed, I said I'll talk about two problems. And one problem I want to speak about, rarely discussed, but I want to speak about it today, is this issue of premarital sex. With the day after pills coming in, girls are no more worried that they will get pregnant. They know if they miss the date, pop it in, taken care of. Pornography, as Reverend Excellency said, today I know I study pornography among the youth. There's no way I can find a youth, most of the male, who hasn't looked at pornography. It's 100% widespread. Peer pressure. Come on, do it, man. Everyone does it. Come on. So there's a tremendous pressure that's forcing you to do things. And all this is leading to a very widespread premarital sex. And the Indian Population Control has studied and found that it's not an urban phenomenon. There are twice the number of premarital sex happening in the rural areas of this country compared to big cities like Bombay and Calcutta and in Mumbai and Madras. So it's a widespread problem. And I want to speak about it. Yes, often we hear the truth. From a spiritual point of view, the church is teaching that it is a sin. It is a sin. But His Excellency was speaking to the youth about a language which is different. And that's exactly what I want to speak to you about. Why isn't premarital sex? Why you shouldn't indulge in premarital sex? One, hey, that's not sex, man. If you think jumping in and then just go into the boyfriend's Dissonance and do that ta-ta-ta and finish off in a few minutes, if you think that is sex, hey, that is not sex. Prakash Kothari, the leading sexologist in India, would tell you that sex has got very little to do with what is between your legs. If you read Kama Sutra will tell you that if you want to really have sex, you need to know your partner's right from his toe to the head, every part of your partner's body. But sexologists would tell you sex is not a physical activity. You sleep with the same wonderful naked body for 1 week, 2 weeks, the diminishing rate of returns sets in. And what builds after that is a deep emotional bond. It's an emotional act, more so for the girls. That's why for boys, it is a physical act. The blood goes to your sexual organ, poop, it stands up, yes, you have an erection. And there is a Viagra that's created. But why isn't there no Viagra for the women? Yes, the pharma companies did try to produce it. They tried to send the blood out there. Didn't work. Why? Because for the woman, sex is an emotional act. And somewhere down the line, as a partner, you understand your partner's moods, your partner's body, your partner's emotions. You build a deep emotional bond with your partner. And from that emotional bond, you indulge in a physical relationship. That's where you see that's sex. That's what sex is. And sexologists would tell you, the great sex doesn't happen on your first night, doesn't happen on the first week, doesn't happen in your first months, it doesn't happen in the first year. The best sex life takes about 2 to 3 years of your married life. So, if any of your friends said, I did it, he was just ticking the box, man. He wasn't enjoying sex at all. But the church is saying, yes, there is the sacrament of marriage. And when the sacrament of marriage happens, your parents, your society, the church, and God Himself says, yes, Sex is an extremely important part of building a bond and go and multiply and create more children. In that peace of mind, you walk into your bedroom is when you have the most wonderful sex of your life. So, premarital sex is not sex at all, man. 2, I want to tell a biological truth. It's a male truth, not even a human truth. It's a male truth. When a lion enters the lioness den for the first time and want to mate it, but the lioness has some cubs from some previous relationships, the first thing the lion would do is kill the cubs. Only after killing the cubs will the lion mate the lioness. Hey girls, let me tell you one thing. It's a biological truth. No male in this world of any living being likes a female who has slept with another male. All the fights in the animal kingdom do not happen over food or over a place of shelter. It happens over a female. The moment you have, before marriage, indulged in a sexual relationship, and if your husband somehow knows about it, there begins an incorrigible mistake. And your marriage is not going to be very stable after that. Any boy who sleeps with you, he's not going to keep it a secret. He's going to talk to his whole world about it. He's going to tell all his friends, man, I did it, man. And all his friends are going to know that you are an available girl. And I know girls, I've studied premarital sex a lot, you don't really enjoy it. A lot of girls indulge in it to sort of cling on to that relationship. Because he said, if you don't sit behind my back and then come home to my house, I will break off the relationship. So you're trying to cling on to that relationship, and you sort of sat behind the bike and went. But, and because I study your minds, every time that is over, you're feeling so ashamed of yourself. Your self-esteem is so low, down in the ground. It's like, sex is like a bandage. First time, it's a wonderful way to hold on and build a strong relationship. You remove it, stick it onto someone, remove it, stick it onto someone, the power of sticking is gone. And that is going to affect even your ability to build future relationship, even in marriage. So, my big advice to all the youngsters sitting across here is, sex is wonderful. And I've been married for 22 years, I can tell you that. But it's worth the wait. But if you say, I will wait until the day of marriage and I walk to the altar, I will wait, you suddenly realize that your self-worth, you feel good about it. The word spread. Hey, that kid, she is a tough woman, man. She's a smart girl. No way she's going to bend. And the boys know you. They respect you. They respect you. And I think Mar Alan Cherry was talking about it. His Excellency was talking about evangelization. In a college, in an office, when the Christian girls are the girls who says, I will wait, I think that's an evangelization. That's a perspective to evangelization that is brilliant. Second is, divorce rates are going up across the world. Now here is the latest study. And you'll find Nicholas has done a brilliant book by Cambridge University, and author of The Understanding of Divorce Cycle. He's been managing it. But divorces have been going up. And now I picked up this very interesting data, which said divorces is going down among one segment alone in the world, and that is among the virgins. Those people who walked the altar, to the aisle, down the aisle and walked to the altar, their divorces in the 90s was 11%, when others is in the 50s, 55%. 90s it came down to 8%, and in the 2000s it is 6%. Yes. Why? Why is it so? I think you should see this particular video for a minute. The audio is not very clear, but you can just look at this video. It's a sort of a practice that is done in the tribals in Amazon jungle. This is a very painful ritual that you see the boys are going to do. Now, this is what? The boys who are going to be made as men will have to put their hand inside that particular net or whatever, that hand glove that is where there are ants all around there. And he has to be holding this for about 20 minutes. And the youngster has to do this 20 times. 20 times before the tribe says, you are now a man. But why? Let me ask another big question to you. You know, to become an engineer, you study for 4 years. To become a doctor, you study for 5 years. I'm sorry to use the word, but to get what job in the world do you study for the most number of years? It's to become a Catholic priest. I'm sorry, it's a job. I'm calling it, but I have to speak that. But I don't know how many of you ever asked the priest, why do you study for 12 to 14 years? Almost twice or almost 3 times the number of years that you study to become an engineer. And many times they'll say philosophy, theology. But the psychology behind it is, if any job that you take up, any profession that you take up, if the commitment to that has to be very, very, very large, as the commitment of a priest, the path to that particular job has to be really tough. And that's why the priest, 12 years they wait before they wear that cassock. The same is what the tribals are doing. The same is why ragging is banned across all the educational institutions in the world by the Supreme Court order, but one educational institution will never ban ragging. That is the NDA. The juniors who come will be beaten up for a few months every time, and that is army units across the world. Why? Because these are jobs that need commitment, the path will have to be made tough. So let me tell you, every time you're far away from home, no one is going to know whether you go out with your boyfriend and do things across there, but you says, no, I'm not going to do it. I'll wait. I'll wait for this boy, or I wait for my partner who will come to me in marriage, which God will give me. Every time you say that, it's not easy, I know that. But every time you take that difficult decision, your commitment to your institution of marriage goes up. And that is why, scientifically, I can now explain to you, when divorces are going up in everywhere, those people who said, I will walk and I will be a virgin for that one man who will be there with my marriage, the commitment of those people and the divorce rates among those people in marriage is going down. So it increases your commitment to marriage. The Economist, and you know that is where the intellectuals of the world, if there is one magazine they read, is the Economist. The Economist had an article recently and said, hey, the Catholic Church was after all right. The chastity, that means, has got huge advantages. So to all the youngsters sitting across here, let me tell you, yes, walk down the aisle as a virgin. That has got huge advantages. And today the scientific community, the intelligent community in the world is saying what the church has been saying for centuries, that chastity before marriage is an extremely wonderful value to have. One more thing. I know many times you say, how good will my marriage life be? And I think it's a question that'll be there, at least there in your dreams at this point of time. That would depend a lot on, obviously, and maybe the most important decision is who will be your life partner. It also depends then, who will be your life partner depends a lot on how do you choose that life partner. Now, I study this huge area called decision field theory, how the brain takes decisions. There are 2 ways decisions are taken across the brain takes it only 2 ways. One is the typical way in which, assume my wife says, hey, go and get that milk. So I don't know, because I normally don't do that, but I just, after my walk, go across, I pick some milk from our shop, I go back home, we, boil the milk, it goes bad. My wife says, where did you pick it up? I said, no, from that one on the right side. I said, no, you shouldn't have picked it up from there. I don't do that. Pick it up from the one on the left. So I go to that shop, I pick that up. I come back home, milk is fine, I get coffee, I'm feeling good. Now, in decision field theory, we call it sequential decision making, which says I take a decision, I evaluate, things are not looking good, walk out on it, move on to something else. That's called sequential decision making. But when you're buying a mobile phone or your churidar or your this, how do you do that? You go to a shop, it says, that red churidar, give me that, thank you. Okay, pack it up and go. Is that what you do? No way. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and I know that. She'll go to one shop, she sees some 25, 30, some 3 of them she'll keep. Some after half an hour, I say, Mole, can we go? Illa papa, can I go to the other shop also? So she'll go to another shop, sees another 20, 25, then there, and then she'll say, Papa, that green one there was good, or the yellow was there, which is good, uncle? Tuck, 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 tuck. Finally, she'll choose one after seeing a whole lot of churidars. And that's what we call simultaneous decision making. That means while you take a decision, you kept all the options in front of you, and then from among the large number of options you have, you choose what is the best for you. I know a lot of youth would say, love marriage. Love marriage is a sequential decision making. You go to a college, you meet some there among that college girls, you pick that. She's the one who said yes to you, yes. Now what you can do, so you assume you went steady for the last 3 years, now you went to Bombay for a job, and in the office you found someone. So what do you do? You tell your college mate, hey, hold on for 6 months, I'll try her out for 6 months, then I'll come back. Is that possible? No way, it's not possible. So what you have to do is you have to walk out on the first one if you want to try the next one. And love marriage is always a sequential decision making. Whereas arranged marriage is simultaneous decision making. Your parents, your relatives, your parish priest, others bring options across there, and from among all those particular options, you choose one of them. There's a lot of work happening in Harvard, there's a lot of work happening in Stanford, and most in Columbia. Sheena Iyengar is at the highest levels on how the brain chooses. And they have comprehensively proven, with Scientific American Mind having a cover story on it, that the decision making through simultaneous, which is arranged marriages, are far more stable and far more happier than love marriage. There is again I'm repeating it, there is a scientific, with the experts in decision field theory and with the experts clearly establishing that arranged marriages are far superior to love marriages. It's also because of another very important theory in social psychology called cognitive dissonance theory, which says that if my daughter bought the churidar, she came home, put the churidar in, and stood right in front of me, Papa, how do I look? Now, what does she want to hear from me? And then she says, Papa, this was good, or that green one that was better. Should I say the green was better? No way. And what does she want to hear? She wants to hear that, Mole, what you're wearing is brilliant. That's wonderful. After you've taken a decision, your brain does not and cannot listen to anything which is contrary to that decision. After you said, that's the boy I'm going to marry, after knowing him for some 1 month or so, whatever the negatives in that boy are, you are not going to pick it up. You say, yes, I understood, I've spent so much coffee with him, I've done a lot of other things with him, all that. No way. And today's science has shown that people who live in relationships, they are the people who sort of understood the partner very well, have the highest levels of divorce rates. The second is the people who got love marriages. And the third, the least number of divorces happen in people who've gone through arranged marriages. This is not the church finding, this is the New York Times, one of the leading publications, had a wonderful article on it. So the New York Times is quoting it. It's not a church publication again. So to all the youngsters sitting across here, let me tell you one thing. Among all the decisions you will take in your lifetime, there is nothing more important than the decision that you will choose as to who will be my life partner. You will not take a more important decision in your life than this. Do you really want to take that decision in some private moment sitting in some cafe coffee day with your prefrontal cortex not even developed? Do you want to do it all by yourself? Don't you think it's far better that your parents, your siblings, your elders, your parish priest and others are all involved? the most important decision of your life should be a collective decision, not an individual decision. I know deep inside your mind, and tomorrow too we will speak about, as I said, each of you wanting to do well in life. And I want to tell you just two things. Yes, each of us can achieve. God has said He has given us a talent in our hand. We all can go on to become the best football player in this world. We all can go on to become the best singer in this world. You can be the CEOs of companies. You can become IPS and IAS officers. You can be the best doctors in the world. But to all that, to be successful in life, your personal life has to be really stable. To make sure your personal life is really stable, as you walk down the aisle, be sure that you are a virgin, not just in your actions, but in your words and in your thoughts. And the decision who is standing beside you is not an individual decision that you took and you pushed it on down your parents' throat, but it's a decision that you took along as a collective decision with the elders and the other people that you respect. If you do that, your future is secure. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. And each of them, my young friends, the decision is yours. Do you want to walk down the aisle as a virgin? Do you want to take that decision all by yourself? Or you want to involve your elders and parents in your decision as to who your life partner is? Wish you all a wonderful future.